I just walked up to a stranger and helped him, but I certainly didn't expect how he would change my life. I'll never forget the moment I made the choice to help a stranger. It wasn't something I planned. It wasn't even something I thought about twice. But looking back, I can't help but think, what if I hadn't stopped? It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon, the kind of day where everything feels heavier than it should. My mind was preoccupied with the usual work, bills, errands when I saw him. At first, I thought he was just another person sitting on the park bench, lost in their own thoughts. But there was something different about him, something that drew me in. Maybe it was the way he sat there, so still, like he was waiting for something, or maybe it was the way his eyes seemed to pierce through the mist of the rain, looking like they were trying to find something or someone. I don't know why I approached him. I barely knew him, and he looked, well, rough, but I did. I don't know if it was pity or something deeper. Maybe it was just instinct. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice cutting through the sound of raindrops. He looked up at me, and for a second, I could see the rawness in his eyes, the kind of sadness that seemed to weigh him down so much. I wondered how he was even able to lift his head. "No," he said, his voice breaking. "I don't think I am." I felt a wave of something I couldn't quite place, but it made me sit down next to him. There was no clear reason for why I stayed. Maybe it was the rain, maybe it was the look on his face, or maybe it was just the feeling that something in this moment was important. "Talk to me," I said, and honestly, I wasn't even sure why I said it. For the next few minutes, he opened up. His name was Alex. He wasn't from the area. He'd been traveling for weeks, just trying to find something. Peace, maybe, or a sense of direction. He didn't have much, no money, no plan, just a small bag with the few things he could carry. As he spoke, I learned that things hadn't always been this way. He used to have a life, a family, a home. But something happened. I didn't press him for the details. He didn't seem ready to give them up, but I could see the ghosts of the past in his eyes. A past that haunted him, that made him feel like a shell of a man. And I don't know what clicked, but in that moment, I decided to help him. I offered him a place to stay for the night. Just one night, I told myself. He didn't seem like the kind of person who would take advantage, and there was something in his desperation that made me feel needed. Like maybe he had been waiting for someone to show up, to ask, to listen. I didn't expect what happened next. That night he shared more about how he had lost his job, his wife, and eventually his own sense of self. I listened, but it wasn't just the story that stuck with me. It was how he changed before my eyes. He wasn't just a man in pain anymore. He was a person with thoughts, regrets, and even a bit of hope. Something in him shifted, and I realized I had become part of that shift. But here's the thing. I wasn't prepared for how much it would affect me. Over the next few weeks, I stayed in touch with Alex. We talked. We met up a few more times. I didn't expect to become so invested in his story, but somehow it happened. I found myself checking in on him, making sure he was doing okay, even offering him a few dollars when he was in a pinch. What really changed, though, was how I saw myself, how I saw my own life. I had always been so focused on my own problems, work, finances, relationships, and it wasn't until I stepped into someone else's life, even for just a moment, that I realized how much I had taken for granted. My own worries didn't seem so big anymore, and without even realizing it, I found myself looking at the world with a new lens, one where I could see people differently, where I could see their pain, their struggles, and just maybe help. But what truly shook me to my core came a month after that first meeting. Alex showed up at my door one night. He had a smile on his face, one I hadn't seen before. He had a job, a real job, in a local cafe. And while that wasn't the most glamorous thing in the world, It was progress. He had turned his life around in a way that I hadn't expected, and the pride in his eyes when he told me was something I'll never forget. But it didn't stop there. Alex wasn't the only one who had changed. I had too. Helping him, listening to him, being there for him. Somehow, it made me realize that I didn't need to have everything figured out, that I could be okay, even when things weren't perfect. It made me more patient with myself and with the people around me. I never would have guessed that one small decision, a decision to talk to a stranger on a rainy day, would change my life forever. But here I am, a different person than I was before, with a deeper understanding of what it means to help, to listen, and to be there for someone else. So, if you're ever in a situation where you feel unsure about helping a stranger, do it, even if it's just a conversation or a kind gesture. You never know how much it could mean to someone. And more than that, you never know how much it could change you. After he got the job at the cafe, we kept in touch. But over time, I started noticing something changing between us. It wasn't anything loud or dramatic, but the connection was deepening. There were no big declarations or grand gestures, but something about the way we looked at each other was different. It was like a thread between us, barely noticeable, but so clear to both of us. One chilly evening, we agreed to meet at a small park. I remember walking there, passing by bare trees covered with a dusting of snow, the air so crisp and cold. Everything around me seemed slowed down, like in a movie. My heart was beating faster, but I couldn't understand why. I was heading toward him, but also toward some feeling inside me that had been growing with each passing day. When I got there, he was already sitting on a bench, wrapped in a scarf, his face pale against the cold. He looked different, not just like the guy I had helped, but like someone who meant something more to me. I couldn't quite explain it, but there was this sense that we were both waiting for something unspoken. He turned to me and I could see the determination in his eyes, like he was deciding what to say and how to say it. I bit my lip, sensing that this moment was going to change everything. "Hey," he said, his voice uncharacteristically soft. I smiled and walked up to him, the distance between us shrinking with each step. We stood there for a moment, silent, just looking at each other. The air was cold, but it felt strangely warm between us. There was something different in the way we stood together now. He finally spoke, his words coming out a little shakier than usual. There's something I need to tell you," he said, his eyes not leaving mine. I nodded, my chest tight with anticipation. "You know how much you mean to me," he started. I I can't just keep this inside anymore. You saved my life, but it's not just about what you did for me. You showed me that life can be softer, kinder. I didn't expect it to turn into something more, but I can't help it anymore. I love you. I love you. His words hit me like a wave crashing over me. I stood frozen for a moment, my breath catching in my throat. How could this be happening? How did I go from helping a stranger to standing here, listening to him confess his feelings for me? For a second, everything felt suspended in time. My heart raced, my mind went blank. But somehow, it all clicked into place. It felt real. Everything about it felt real. I looked at him, feeling the weight of his words settle in me. I could feel my whole body responding to them, like my heart had been waiting for this exact moment, even though I hadn't known it. This was real. This was happening. I took a step closer to him without even thinking, and with a shaky breath, I said, "I love you too." The words left my lips so easily, as though they had always been there, waiting for the right moment to be spoken. We didn't need anything else. No more doubts. No more questions. We stood there in the cold, not moving, just being. It was strange how something so simple could feel so right. The world felt like it had melted away, leaving only us in that tiny bubble of truth. In the weeks that followed, our relationship grew stronger, deeper. I didn't know how or when it happened, but it did. We stopped looking for reasons to question it and started living it. He wasn't just the guy I helped anymore. He was the person I loved, the person I wanted to be with. We were building something together, even if we hadn't realized it yet. Months later, on the anniversary of the night we first met, he took me to that same restaurant where we had once talked about how things could be different if we made it work. It seemed like such a long time ago. But that night, something felt even more significant. As we ate, he didn't talk much, his usual easygoing self replaced by a kind of quiet anticipation. After dinner, he looked at me with that familiar, intense gaze. His eyes were soft, but there was something else there, something I couldn't quite place. It made my heart race again, like the first time we'd met. He said, his voice barely above a whisper, you didn't just save me. You changed my life. You became everything I didn't even know I needed and more. I want to be with you forever. Will you marry me? I felt my breath catch in my chest, a smile creeping up on my face. The question hung in the air for a moment, and it was like everything we had been through, everything we had shared, was leading up to this one moment. The path we had walked, the struggles, the quiet nights, the small acts of love, all of it led here. We didn't need a big crowd. We didn't need fireworks or grand gestures. All we needed was this, a shared promise, two people who had found each other in a world full of strangers. And now we were going to build our future.